Hello everyone, my name is Jamie and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be sharing my fantastic experience of easyJet on my way from Santorini to Gatwick. Santorini Airport is undergoing a complete refurbishment as of September 2020, seeing the total airport floor area increase by over 20% and doubling the number of security gates. Unfortunately, there's loads of construction work and a little passenger pain whilst all this is completed. Fortunately though, come 2021, everything should be ready to welcome passengers. We entered the departure area from the sunny outside and straight into a rather disorganised and sizable queue. The queue, it turns out, was for bag drop, so we headed in front of that and into security, and we were into the departure lounge. There's one small duty-free shop, and dotted around there's a couple of places to eat and drink. We headed to our gate, which is located in the non-Schengen part of the terminal, accessible by passing through the passport control lane, which wasn't manned. Unfortunately though, as the time of the departure approached, we had to clear the gate area and re-enter when someone turned up to check the passports. Time consuming and frustrating for those who were already seated and waiting. Whilst waiting, I did manage to see our inbound A320 arrive. Boarding started about 30 minutes before departure, with the centre of the aircraft, rows 11 to 20, boarding first via the rear and front steps. Our seats today are 8A and 8B, so we're amongst the last to board. With no rush to get home once we landed, we asked the gate staff to check our bags for free, which they did and saved us having to find space on board. One of the great things about boarding in Santorini is that you get to walk to the aircraft. It's great to be outside on the apron. This is when I knew this flight would be a great one. Seeing me filming, Nigel, the cabin manager, offered me the chance to stand on the steps and take some photos before getting on board. Such a nice and welcoming attitude that you don't get with some airlines. All seated and ready to go, here's a quick look at the safety card before we taxi out for takeoff on runway 33.
Just opening up now and she'll be getting going and expected to take off on the northerly runway. Our route planning out straight ahead, lovely views of the island as we make our way north, and good conditions pretty much all the way. Nice weather on arrival in Gatwick as well, quite warm temperatures there, up in the 20s, and light winds, and not too many clouds around either. In just a moment, the cabin crew will give you their safety demonstration. As always, we do ask you pay special attention throughout. After that, enjoy the flight. I'll speak to you some more details.
Unfortunately for us, we were sat in front of the loudest people on the plane. Let's take off.
So when I give you... No, what you're accepting. When I give my phone, I'll give you your phone and I'll just WhatsApp myself. That's fine. And it won't go through until we catch that.
As we climb out of this stunning island, here's some highlights of the trip looking back on a fantastic time in this beautiful place. Whilst we stayed in Thira, we did visit Thira to see the three domes and for the famous sunset. No matter where you are on the island, you'll always want to take a photo or a video to try and remember it with, and then sometimes you'll just pause to take it all in. We got around the island using a mix of taxis and buses, but do be warned, the buses are not air conditioned and the timetable does seem to change on a daily basis. The island also produces its own wine at Santo Wines. I'd recommend a tour if you're here, along with some wine tasting before watching this absolutely spectacular sunset. Anyway, back to why you're here, and that is to see how clean the easyJet loo is. And it's good news, it was sparkling clean as I've come to expect from easyJet. The seat on this A320 is the standard Recaro with a non-adjustable tray table, and in the seat pocket you'll find the safety card but not much else, leaving you space for all your stuff. We're feeling peckish now and it's time for a snack from the frequent trolley service. It's a twirl and a Diet Coke. Anybody else want one? Note to self, take your mask off before trying to drink a liquid. As you'll have seen on the channel, I've flown more than most throughout the summer. Make sure you check out all those other trips and don't forget to subscribe for more to come in the future. One of the big things that makes a difference in a time like this is the assertiveness of the crew. On Wizz Air, for example, the crew asserted no control over the passengers, similar to Ryanair. But with the flights that I enjoyed the most this summer and that made me feel the most reassured, those of Jet2 and easyJet had the most assertive crew that regularly patrolled the aircraft, reminding people to wear their face masks correctly and pulled anybody up who wasn't wearing them. This flight in particular was a textbook example of how to do that and show the passengers that you're in charge. Nigel, the cabin crew manager, was absolutely outstanding throughout the flight, and that assertiveness really came through once we'd landed in the way that passengers conducted themselves. Our approach into Gatwick this afternoon took us along the south coast before turning right and lining up to land on runway 08 right.
Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened and personal items safely stowed, as the aircraft will taxi at speeds up to 30 miles an hour. When we do arrive at the terminal gate and the aircraft has come to a complete and final standstill with the engine switched off, we will open the aircraft doors. Please, as mentioned earlier, for social distancing purposes, remain in your seat. And please do not stand up into the aisle. Once we've got authorisation to disembark the aircraft, we'll ask the front row and possibly the rear rows to collect their belongings, checking underneath your seat, the seat pocket in front of you and the overhead locker. And for continued safety, please exercise caution over your lockers as items may have moved in flight or on landing. We'll then invite them to disembark the aircraft. We'll then do that row by row, and we understand this will not take very much longer than normal. This is for your continued safety and to give you social distance on the ground.
Crew, please assume doors for arrival, thank you.
As the jet bridge connects, this is what disembarking looks like with an assertive crew. Everybody adhering to the advice and disembarking one row at a time.
Mark now, so just like to remain seated until your row is ready to leave the aircraft. Thank you very much for understanding.
It's a long walk from where we parked today, but as expected there was no way to immigration. Before you could enter the automatic gates though, everyone had to show their passenger locator form. We only had a short wait for our bags and both of them turned up after waiting a few minutes.
Well, that was a fantastic flight back on easyJet from Santorini into Gatwick. I hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.